Mike Alcoholic.
Hey, Mike.
I used to talk about this a long time ago, and I've been kind of going over things I used to talk about, and I kind of got tired of and put them on the shelf. And I always used to talk about this one when I talked about the 10th step. It's a story from my childhood. My father used to be sort of a landlord, and we rented out this trailer in Springville. And as most tenants do, they left owing us some rent, and we had to go down there. And I was a kid, so I was probably 10 years old. Go down there and clean the place up to get it ready to rent again. And what they had done, I won't talk about what it was like inside, but what it was like outside, I'll never forget it. They had strung chicken wire around 3 trees shaped in a triangle. You may have heard of it. And they put chicken wire, it was probably at least 8 to 10 feet high. And they had lived there for over a year, maybe more. And they had thrown every bag of garbage they ever had into this chicken wire. It was bizarre. And on its face, it doesn't sound like it has much to do with the program, but how we tie it into it is that that's why we do the 10th step. Because see, what happens if I don't do a 10th step and I'm just going to throw my garbage in that chicken wire and I'll say, oh, I'll get to it next time I do a 4th step. Let me throw that in there, and then I'll throw this in there, and it might be a big bag or a small bag. But I throw it in there, and then if it comes time to do it, it's like the bags that are on the bottom, they become tattered, and I can't quite remember how it happened, you know, and I might remember how the facts were and the benefit of doing the 10th step as I go along keeps me from falling into the trap of being in that chicken wire like I saw when I was a kid. Instead of waiting once a year to do a big house cleaning, the steps were designed to assist me to not let my garbage build up like that, because I'm not guaranteed I'll make it another year carrying around those bags of garbage. I'm not guaranteed I'll make it to the next 4 steps, so to speak. I believe in the steps being ordered for a reason, so I did 1 4 step. Now I do 10 steps, 10, 11, and 12. So when the 10th step on 84 talks about we commence this way of living as we go along, what that tells me is, I need me a walking around step. I can't always wait till I go to bed to look at something. I know when it gets into the 11th step reading, so when we retire at night and all these things, but Joe and Charlie would talk about how I need a walking around step. I can't wait till I get in the bed. I don't get in trouble when I'm in the bed, usually. But my point is clear, is that, I need a step I can take with me throughout the day. And what the 10th step aids me in doing is not falling into the trap of the chicken wire, which is just tossing it in there saying I'll deal with it later, because the 12 and 12 makes clear that these termites, these things, can add up and ceaselessly devour any quality of life I may have. So I'm not saying I do the best 10th step in the world. I'm not claiming to do a written 10th step, nor is this topic on necessarily the mechanics of a 10th step. The point to this topic is to give a drastic example of a picture that you can picture in your mind about the chicken wire and translate that into my stuff that I deal with and say, man, that doesn't sound a very healthy way to live, tossing all my shit in this chicken wire and dealing with it later. Or expecting, worse yet, somebody else to deal with my shit, which is what they did. So, dealing with my stuff as it goes along, as the book says, is part of my duty, and also realizing that my rights end where another person's begin is also part of my duties. Realizing that 10, 11, and 12 is about seeing that my rights end where another person's begin. And ultimately, what the goal is here is to not be so proficient and such an expert at dealing with my mess-ups. The goal of the steps is to not ultimately create any new wreckage of the present. It's to fit myself to where I'm not having these huge bags of garbage every single day. What about having a day where I haven't messed over anybody or told anybody off or done something horrid? Those days are there. Even How It Works talks about no one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence. He didn't say we couldn't attain it. See, the warning is there that we can have great days and we can have a day where we haven't caused any harm. But also the warning is I need to keep doing this thing because alcohol in solid or liquid form is a subtle foe and it can creep up on me. The next thing I know, I'm doing something stupid again. That's why I need to keep coming here even when I don't think I need it. I need to keep away from the chicken wire and do these things as I go along. So, and this is what I wanted to say too. I know this room has a lot of newcomers. You're going, oh, 10th step, I can go to sleep. No. If you're new, you can start trying to work the semblance of a 10th step from the very beginning. I can start trying to not create wreckage of the present. I don't care if you have one day. Because what a newcomer has to get through the myriad of terms that we're trying to get a hold of and understand what all they mean is we think about this idea of being of service and we think, oh, I hadn't worked the steps. I don't know if I could be of service. But the truth of the matter is from the very beginning, stopping doing harm is being of service. And I can tell you this right now, society at large is glad that we're all sitting in this room right now because we're not breaking in their house or pawning their Shiite, okay? So the thing about it is that simple concept can come across to a newcomer. That you know what? Not creating harm is the beginning of being of service. And that will take on new meaning as time goes on. But that's why this topic is for young and old. And having that picture of that chicken wire, realizing that's no way to live. And realizing there's a simpler way to live and deal with things as I go along with the ultimate goal, meaning let's live a life where I'm not creating bags of garbage. That's called balance. It's achievable, not on a consistent basis. I have ups and downs days just like anybody else. But the point is what am I striving for? I'm striving for this direction, not for this direction. Bill W. said, it's important to give ourselves something to live up to. Anyway, that's the topic, and I appreciate you asking, and I've had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, and I'll pass.